This couple saves $40,000 a year in unnecessary tax. By the end of this episode, you will understand how this couple saved $1 million in taxes on their IRAs and 401ks. Get ready. This is going to blow you away, but I want this to be your story. So I'm Doug Andrew, and I've been helping people optimize their assets and minimize taxes now for nearly 5 decades. And there are thousands of stories that I could give you on how we have helped people save hundreds of thousands of dollars of unnecessary tax on their IRAs and 401ks, where they thought they were doing the best thing by deferring until they retired because they were told they would likely be in a lower tax bracket. And that has not been a true or axiomatic assumption now for more than 25 years. Savers who save very much usually are not in lower tax brackets when they retire because they accumulate a sizable retirement nest egg. They have been killing their deductions, their mortgage interest deduction. They're not contributing money to IRAs and 401ks during retirement. They don't have any other dependents. The kids are gone. If they move back in, you can't deduct them anymore. Business owners don't have those deductions anymore, and on and on and on. But especially because of irresponsible government spending and the printing of money, most Americans agree taxes in the future will likely be higher. So my question is always this: if you really believe that taxes will likely be higher, why are you postponing, deferring, procrastinating, paying tax to some future perceived unknown advantage and then withdraw your money later on when taxes are higher? That doesn't make sense. And so people begin to rethink their thinking. Now, sometimes they do this sooner than later, and they switch to Roths. Now, a Roth IRA or 401k is a step in the right direction, but there's still too many strings attached with a Roth. So I've never owned an IRA or 401k, never will, but I've never owned a Roth. See, Roths accumulate your money tax-free, and you can access the money tax-free, and you fund a Roth IRA or 401k with after-tax dollars. So you're realizing that it's better to pay taxes on the seed money, and I use the metaphor of a seed because if you were a farmer and you had the choice of buying your seed in the springtime that you were going to plant, and you could either buy your seed without paying tax, but you planted it, you irrigated, you cultivated, you worked hard, and later in the fall when you harvest your crops and sold them, you now have to pay tax on what you sell your harvest for. See, that's a traditional IRA or 401k. You get a tax break on the seed money, but then you agree to pay tax on the harvest. If you think taxes are going to be higher in the future, I can prove to you that it's going to be better to have a Roth where you simply pay tax on the seed money and you enjoy the harvest without tax. Now, I've never owned a Roth. Why? Because a max-funded indexed universal life insurance contract, what I call a laser fund, has the two benefits of a Roth and 4 additional benefits that Roths will never have. Your money accumulates tax-free, and you can access it tax-free under 2 sections of the Internal Revenue Code that have been around for over 108 years, Section 72E and 7702. And then when you finally die, whatever is left behind blossoms and transfers income tax-free. Roths don't do that. But what else do IUL policies have that Roths don't have? Well, I can contribute larger sums of money into an IUL policy. I could put in $300,000 if I wanted to. You can't do that with a Roth. I don't have to put in $300,000. I can put in $30,000, but I could make up the other $270,000 anytime I want. With a Roth, you can only put in a certain dollar amount, but you can't make up for any room that you didn't use in future years. Once you don't use the room, you lose it, okay? But if I put in $300,000 into an IUL and a month later I need to access $250,000, I don't have to wait till I'm 59 and a half years old or 5 years like you do with the Roth. I can put in $300,000 and withdraw $200,000, $250,000 4 days later, I had a client do that. There's no 10% penalty by the IRS. And I can use indexing, which allows me to participate in the upside growth when the market goes up. And that's why my IUL policies, I've earned some years, not just 10%, but 25%. In 2021, 61.33% and even 153%. But if the market crashes, I don't lose due to that market crash because my money is not invested in the market. That's called indexing. And you can learn about that on this channel and also in a book that I'm going to gift you at the end of this episode. So stay with me. Let's get back to this story I want to tell you about this couple that came to me. And they were sort of thumping themselves on the chest, very proud because they came to a seminar and they came in and they laid down their IRA and 401k statements. And I always sort of tease people and I tell them to bring their after-tax IRA and 401k statements with them. Now, I know they don't have those and they go, yeah, what do you mean by after-tax? I said, well, I'll calculate it for you. So they had saved $2.6 million in, IRAs and 401ks. And I gave them the high five, way to go. They were proud of themselves. Yeah, they were savers. And they didn't realize they were in a tax trap because that $2.6 million was not all their money. They said, well, we're not going to take it out all at once. We calculate based upon, I think it was around 6.5% payout. They felt like they could generate about $160,000 a year of income out of their IRAs and 401ks. So I said, okay, let's assume that. You pull out $160,000 a year and I see a big problem. And they go, what's that? And I go, well, it's showing up on the front page of your 1040 tax return. It's all taxable income now. Plus, they had another $40,000 a year coming in, I think from a defined benefit pension. I think one of them had taught school or what have you. So they had a total of $200,000 of income that was going to show up on the front page of their 1040 tax return. I go, yeah, that's a problem to me because I'm a tax strategist. And they sort of went, you mean there's another way? And I went, yeah, I could get 60% of that, 200,000 off of your tax return. But now it's going to take me about 5 years to do it. And they said, well, where have you been? And I said, well, I've been here all along, but you've sort of had your blinders on following the herd, like many Americans, putting money in tax-deferred IRAs or 401ks. And now you've got this tax trap. And so they said, okay, we're all ears. So I illustrated a strategic rollout. This is not a rollover. A rollover is going from the frying pan into the fire, so to speak. This is where people have money in 401ks and they roll them over to IRAs, and then they postpone, delay until they're age 72, and then they are told to take RMDs, required minimum distributions, which I think is the worst advice for most Americans, okay? I said, no, you want to get the money out and then the taxes over and done with sooner than later, and then reposition the net after-tax money into a portfolio of indexed universal life insurance contracts, structured correctly and funded properly. Take the least amount of insurance the IRS will let you get away with, and this will allow you to earn 11 and net 10, earn 8 net 7. Some years you'll earn 25 and net 24, but it will be tax-free. They said, well, wow, we've never heard of these. I said, well, it doesn't surprise me. Most advisors are not aware of these. So, long story short, what did we do? In 5 years, we got that money out predominantly out of their IRAs or 401ks. Not all of it. Okay, they still wanted to leave some in there. But on their tax return, they only now had to report $80,000 of taxable income. So we reduced the $200,000 of taxable income down to $80,000 of taxable income. Well, what happened to the other $120,000? They're still receiving it. They're still experiencing $200,000 a year of income. But $120,000 of that $200,000 is tax-free. It's coming out of their IUL policies now tax-free without depleting the principal. They actually doubled their rate of return. They still have the same $200,000 of income. But now 60% of it is not showing up on the front page of their 1040 tax return. The IRS knows they're receiving it, but the IRS knows, oh, this is tax-free. It's not even worth auditing because money out of an insurance policy has never been taxable if you do it the right way. So what did we save them? We save them in a 33% combined federal and state income tax bracket, 33% on 120,000 of their 200,000 of income. What's that? 40,000 a year in tax. From that one strategy, a strategic rollout, we are saving them 40,000 a year of otherwise payable tax. You times that out by the husband and wife's life expectancy. One of them is expected to make it to age 90. They retired at age 65. That's 25 years. 25 years times 40,000. We save them $1 million of unnecessary tax with one strategy. That's just beginning. We were able to increase the rate of return by double and create tax-free income and on and on and on. And when they ultimately pass away, the laser funds will blossom and leave behind twice as much as their IRAs and 401ks would have left behind. I'm just giving you the first phase of tax savings. Yes, we do this all the time. We can maybe do this for you. Would you like to save 40,000 a year of unnecessary tax? What could you do with that? They were able to enjoy visiting their children and grandchildren, family vacations, helping those they care about with that extra 40,000 that would have gone down the drain in unnecessary tax. $1 million over their golden years that they used for their family instead of seeing it go down the drain in unnecessary tax. They still paid tax, but not as much. If this is intriguing you, I can show you all kinds of ways that you can optimize assets and minimize taxes. I want to gift you a copy of this book, The Laser Fund. It's 300 pages. And you don't have to pay $20 on Amazon. I will gift you a copy. You can claim your free copy by going to laserfund.com, laserfund.com, or click on the link below. And you contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling. I'll cover the rest of that cost. I'll fire out a hard copy to you. It's actually 2 books in one. This side is 200 pages, 14 chapters. If you're a left brain learner, that's all the charts and graphs and what have you. If you're a right brain learner, you can turn it over and read this one, about 100 pages, 12 chapters with 62 actual client stories. Or you can use your whole brain and read both, okay? But when you're in there claiming your free copy, be sure and check out how you can learn by listening or watching. There's audio and video. And also you can join us for online educational webinars. You can even schedule a time to talk to a professional to see how this can be employed in your particular set of circumstances at no cost or obligation to you, to see illustrations, to see how you can optimize assets, minimize taxes, diversify, and create the foundation for your tax advantage retirement.